Camera rolling. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Wolfgang.
How are you doing today?
Life is good.
Like always in Vietnam.
Yes.
How long you're here?
I've been here for 3 weeks, and my initial plans maybe until May.
Until May. Right. You're not here the first time. You know Vietnam.
A little bit, mostly Da Nang right here.
But Da Nang you know like the back of your hand.
Yes, if you include in Da Nang about 6 blocks square centered around where we're set down right here.
You're a homie.
Yes. I exist in my neighborhood.
That's cool.
And so having a nice neighborhood is really key.
You're from the States.
Nevada,
You're,
Las Vegas.
you're a desert man.
The desert, it seems weird, but a lot of people like it. Nevada and Arizona are growing like weeds. Everybody's moving there.
Yep.
There's not enough water, but there's plenty of sand and cactus.
Well, you bring in the water and you enjoy the dry climate, not like us today, where we enjoy the rain here.
This is okay. I like this. It's a change of pace.
If you sit inside anyway, it doesn't bother you, you're not getting wet.
And this is a typhoon.
About to
If this
come.
is a typhoon, I'll take it.
I heard something about 70 kilometers per hour wind.
How much are the banana leaves swaying around right now?
Not really, right? Oh, probably that thing makes landfall tonight. My little
The
assistant.
projection says we're going to get smacked right into,
Yep.
but you're sure not seeing it now.
Well, it's not a category horrendous storm. It's more like a tropical depression.
I lived in Houston, Texas for 20 years. And when hurricanes made landfall anywhere within a real wide landing zone, it would rain for days, rain hard, continuous, no let up. This is nothing like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out and about this morning on a motorbike. I got a little rain. I bought one of these little ponchos. Drove back to town.
The nice thing about this spot is that there's 500 restaurants that will send a motorcycle guy in water this deep in the street to bring you a bowl of noodles. It's okay. And they're happy to have the work.
Yep. As
I
long
tip extra when it's raining.
you do tip them.
Yeah, especially, well, I always tip. If it's raining, I go extra heavy.
Okay, that's good.
The guy's out there risking his life and limb to bring me noodles. You know, what's a small tip from, Western retiree budgets makes a big difference to these guys here, because they have expenses.
This is after Ho Chi Minh, the second city I'm sitting in and watching the traffic. And yes, it's chaotic. I see some foreigners struggle crossing the street, but basically it's organized chaos.
You bring up a good point, though. I don't like crossing the street in Asia at all.
Not only here in Vietnam.
Yeah, I guess because of my age and my skeletal wreckage, I'm very careful. There's places in Thailand where I would hire a taxi because I needed to cross a busy street.
Like Rama 4.
Yeah, like Rama 4. And if you remember the old video game Frogger,
Yep.
it's fun in an arcade, not in real life so much.
Yep.
So I've hired a taxi to go from this side of the street to this side of the street. And for $1.50, it's worth it for the risk and the mental brain damage from the terror.
Well, they do in Bangkok have these overpasses.
Yeah,
go
Baguio
up.
City, Philippines, same thing.
In
They
Manila.
go the walkways, they go for miles.
Yeah.
And you don't have to ever come down to street level.
Yeah. In Manila, they have these. You crawl up the stairs, go over and down the other side.
They're also good if you're in your taxi and it gets gridlocked and you just tell the taxi man, okay, I get out here. instead of where you're booked to, pay the man, then you go up onto the walkway and get where you're going way faster than if you stayed in the cab.
Yeah, that's true. It's still an issue in Bangkok and in Manila, the gridlock, bumper to bumper, nothing moves.
Mm-hmm.
Here, they drive like crazy. I mean, if you come new to the country, you say, how do they drive here? This is. But actually, they know what they're doing. It works, and the traffic flows somehow.
It does. There's a system that's not like the Western system. In each country, the flow is a little bit different. I don't drive in Asia because it's a different skill set. They're good at it. I'm not. It doesn't cost very much, and they need the work. So I'm happy to let someone else drive.
You know what you're saying? I calculated. I can rent a scooter here for a certain amount. And I calculated how many of these Grab rides I can take for that amount, divided by 30. So it comes out, it's about 80 rides per day, which I will never do. And I just hop on the back on a bike, and I never have to bother with any trouble.
Yeah, and I don't take the motorbike taxis. I take a nice air-conditioned Toyota. But you think it's so cheap. Am I taking advantage of these people? No.
Actually,
they want the work. They want you to use these cheap services.
I look at the Grab cars. I just took a car from Hand Market back here.
Yes.
I paid, I don't know, 60,000 or so, crossing half the city.
Yeah, a little over $2.
Yeah, nothing. It is more or less a brand new car. With $2 rides, even if you take 200 a day, you will never be able to even pay for the amortization of the car.
It makes no sense to me.
Right.
And yet, taxis in Asia are much nicer than taxis in the USA. How can this be at less than a tenth of the cost?
I've been in several countries. I remember in Lima, Peru, where I got into a car and I looked in the bottom, I saw the street.
Through the rust hole?
That thing was totally rusted through. And in Manila and in Cebu City in the Philippines, the taxis are 20-year-old re-imported Toyotas.
Mm-hmm.
What they junk somewhere in Korea or Japan, they export to the Philippines, they overhaul it, and they run it for another 10 years or so, until it breaks down. So I understand. I used to pay flag down, and the first 2 kilometers was something like 7 pesos, which was like a third of $1. 3 rides with a taxi minimum fare, $1. And the condition of the car said, yeah, okay, that works. But here, I see these brand new Grab cars, and they can't make any money. It doesn't work. I don't understand that.
So what do you think is happening?
I don't know, money laundering?
I've had people, I know, I'm lucky enough that I know some expats that have been here for a while that explain things to me. And everything economic here and in the neighboring countries, it's non-intuitive.
Right.
It makes sense. They're making a living. It's not accidental, but the way we think about how we'd set up a business has nothing to do with it.
I mentioned money laundering because I've been in Cali, Colombia, southern town. And we're talking 2000, 2001, when flat screens were expensive.
Right.
Internet was expensive. Computers, PCs were expensive. I went into a normal coffee shop, which just served coffee. So I knew about the price level of what a little cake and a coffee cost. And then I saw a very plush place, really first class. I hesitated to go inside. I said, that's going to be expensive. But they said internet, and I needed to do something. At that time, you didn't have mobile internet. I went inside. I said, I want a coffee and half an hour of internet. Yeah, just sit there. And they brought me stuff I didn't order. And I said, excuse me, I didn't order any cake or whatever. No, don't worry. And I overdid my rented half a time. I was there maybe 1.5 hours. I got caught up with things. I was in another world checking, or I didn't check my email in a week or so. I got up after 1.5 hours. So I said, oh, this is going to cost. Go home, no problem. I said, I want to pay at least the coffee and my time on the internet. No, go. Come back anytime. So how is a coffee shop making coffee when they don't charge you?
But they are. See, that's the thing. They would not have given you free internet and coffee if they weren't making money off of it somehow. Do I need to understand this? No. They offer something nice to me at a price that I don't understand, and I say thank you. It's like if you're going to buy me a coffee. It's like, Tim, can I buy you a coffee? Yes, thank you. I don't need to worry about your side of the economics or motivations or anything. It's very simple. You do something nice for me, well, thank you very much. Next time, I'll buy the coffee.
Talking of coffee, how about
not
it?
Always.
Do we have somebody here?
I could go for a coffee.
I like one too.
That's why they call it coffee.
I didn't have one in 2 days. Usually I drink 3-4 cups a day. Last 2 days I tried to stay a little bit off the coffee until my system is used to the environment here.
I don't know, Wolfgang. Sometimes I feel like we're twins separated at birth and just found each other just now.
Isn't it? You say you're here already this time for 4 weeks.
I lose track, but yeah, more
Something
or
like
less. I'm retired.
Yeah.
I keep a retirement calendar.
Look at me. No watch.
Yes, exactly.
I don't need it anymore.
I think today is Saturday, but I don't really put that much energy into it.
Who cares? How was your first week with getting adapted to the food? Any problem?
Killer. Yeah.
Really?
The food here, if you go to a busy restaurant, to me, it's very fresh, safe. In Thailand and Vietnam, these are very high standard food countries. The local customers, the expats, everybody has a very high expectation. There are other countries, which I will not name, where it's maybe not that way so much. In Vietnam, you go to a busy restaurant, you're golden.
Yeah. But still, the first couple of days, I felt a bit something. I had to go more often than normal.
Have you been in Southeast Asia in general for the last year or two?
No.
Well, there is, your stomach has to get your gut microbiome needs to populate itself with the local
That's right, yeah.
flora and fauna. And then after that, you're good to go.
Yeah.
But you can, like the tap water, you can rinse your toothbrush in the tap water, and that's enough to,
Yeah.
I wouldn't drink it to hydrate yourself,
Yeah.
but you do need your body to kind of get acclimated to local conditions.
When I got away from living 5 years in the Philippines, where I got used to the microbes there, I went to South America. And I went to Venezuela. And after 3 days, I had something I needed to go to the doctor. And he said, maybe that's cholera. You should go to a hospital. They checked it out. No, it was nothing serious. And I was fine. I mean, it felt really bad for a day. Next day, I was fine. The time I traveled around Venezuela, no more problems. I went over the land border to Colombia. And the second stop was somewhere in the mountains. Same thing again. I really emptied myself. And they had kind of a local clinic. Was more a nurse than a doctor, but she was very knowledgeable. She made tests. She said, whatever you might have had, it's out. Just drink. Rehydrate yourself. Same thing again. Next day I felt better. I stayed on an additional day because I like that little clinic. So if something happens again, I go and have a check. No, everything fine. Traveled all of Colombia, no problem. I entered Ecuador. Second day, boom. It's like the microbes know where the borders are.
That's funny. I had a very dear friend in Las Vegas a few years ago that was in Mexico for a while. just vacationing, came back and got a really unpleasant stomach bug. The US doctors, and it was bad enough, she went to the emergency room. The US doctors had various treatments and it wasn't working. Then she ran into an urgent care doctor who was from Mexico and said, "You've been to Mexico." And so he guessed that it was Giardia, gave her the medication for that, which is a parasitical medicine, good to go. So in my kit of stuff, I carry Flagyl, which is the medication for Giardia, which is the #1 cause of travelers' stomach problems in the Americas. And then for Asia, I carry Cipro, which is good for E. coli, which is the most common cause here. Now, there's plenty of other possible problems. But the doctors here are very smart. They know what it is. They know what the local bugs are and how to deal with it.
Which is one topic. A lot of people say,
What did you order, Wolfgang?
nothing.
Definitely.
Nothing yet.
She's making a James Bond martini, shaken, not stirred.
That might be it. A flat white for you, or a black, or what are you having?
Flat white would be great.
Right. Entertain my audience for a minute. I go in order.
Let's take a cut.
I cut it out
You
later.
need a jump cut.
I cut it out later.
Wolfgang, iced on that one, please.
Ice for you?
Yeah. Ice flat white.
Okay.
Or a salt, something. I'm not picky.
Hello. Hello. 2 flat white.
2 black,
Flat white.
wine,
Flat.
flat,
Coffee and milk.
coffee and milk,
For him with ice.
Vietnamese coffee,
Vietnamese coffee. Tim?
Arabica.
Come again? Yeah.
I want Arabica.
Okay. And for me, hot. Coffee and milk hot.
Vietnamese coffee.
Yeah.
Can you wait a little bit because I need to.
Sorry about all the yelling.
The coffee again.
No
Tone it
problem.
down.
10 or 15 minutes.
No problem.
Okay.
Both Cho and Ton know their coffee. They are experts. So oh, I see. Yeah, a lot of these are sweet drinks are made from Vietnamese.
Vietnamese coffee.
So what do we have coming?
I said for you with ice,
Yes.
coffee with milk, and for me hot.
Good.
She just say it will take 10 minutes or so.
Perfect. So with these microphones, we can probably speak pretty softly and it'll still record just fine, right?
I
Because
think
there's a
so.
little bit of background noise, but nothing obnoxious.
I hope YouTube will not have any issues with.
It's a big problem. That's pretty loud.
I let it run because I have 2 voice. I have one over there and one here, and I just can cut it. If I make a stop and start again, then it will synchronize.
In either YouTube Studio or YouTube Creator, there's a tool to drop out all the background noise, which I think will fix your copyright strikes.
Yeah. But the thing is, what I record here will have this and our voices together. I can demix it.
What I'm saying is there's a tool in either Studio or Creator
That
that
will.
will use AI to drop that out in post.
That's good. I have to
And
use
it happens, you just hit the button and it does it. There's no,
Good. There's a
so
solution
whether
for
you
everything.
learn this or your editor learns this, it still has to be done because otherwise you'll get copyright striked like that.
Right.
You hear especially 2, 3, 4 years ago when this became a thing, the YouTubers really talked a lot about oh man, I got to move away from this shop because there's the music.
Yeah.
But YouTube can fix that for you easily.
They make the problem and then they have the solution,
Isn't that convenient?
right? I told you.
That's just good economics right
Yeah.
there.
I told you, I'm sitting in a local restaurant, and 3 houses down, they have these most awful karaoke singing. YouTube chewed on it for 15 minutes. We have to check, we're all still checking. Then next thing, we found copyrighted music, but the owner allows you to use it. Who's the owner of that yelling and screaming of drunk people? You ever run into a karaoke session here?
Well, if you walk up and down any of the bar streets at night, it's nothing but karaoke. I'm not into it personally, but I can see how it's a lot of fun for those who embrace the hobby.
No, you're eating mostly in here. You have a Grab bringing you food here.
Well, it's about half and half. If it's raining, they do have nice loaner umbrellas here, big golf umbrellas.
I use them.
So you can go a couple of blocks and get something to eat. But I don't know, half and half.
I found out both is convenient. I like to sit in these little shops and talk to the staff if they speak some English.
Well, we both like the banh mi and coffee place
Yeah.
2 blocks from here, and they have very fluent staff.
Some people, I remember Thailand in the early times when nobody spoke English. And you didn't have any electronics to help you with that.
Yeah, and even today, in an area like Pattaya Metro, where it's a tourist economy, people who work at a noodle shop know 100 words of English that are related to the noodle industry. You go outside the noodle industry, they have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how my Thai is. My Thai is centered around ordering noodles.
Yeah.
You get me outside of that specialty, I don't know a word.
Kway teow 40 baht. How often you been in Thailand? How much time did you spend there?
Almost 2 years, all told. And I like a lot of things about Thailand, but eventually got to feel like the social energy was holding me back from who I wanted to be in life. In the short time I've been in Da Nang, I feel like this place is going to elevate myself because of the quality, both locals and expats that come to this place. It's a much nicer, classier, more positive social style, I guess.
But still, sometimes you try to talk to a Grab driver or a server in a restaurant and then no English.
Well, I'm a guest in this country. So if I'm going to complain about lack of communication, the answer is I learned Vietnamese. It's like, yes, we're in this neighborhood is one of the most touristy places in Southeast Asia. And so there's a lot of English. But still, as guests, I feel like the burden is on us to learn. That's not a trivial thing.
Yeah.
It takes the Vietnamese 5-10 years to really become fluent in English. And English to Vietnamese is at least as hard.
At least.
At least you can read it. You can read Vietnamese. In Thai, to me it looks like Arabic or Chinese. It means nothing. You almost have to learn to read Thai before you can start to speak it, which is a giant hurdle.
If you
In
really,
Vietnam, now the pronunciation sounds nothing like what you would think looking at the letters, but at least you can read the letters.
yeah, in Thailand, if you just order your food or the numbers on this, you have no problem. You have it within a couple of weeks. But if you really want to dig in, sometimes you go to the market or any place and you say something in Thai, and you say, oh, you speak Thai, and then it comes, woo. You say, whoa, slowly, easy. Normally, people over there, they say, oh, you speak Thai very, very good. No, I got one lady after long hesitation to tell me really how my Thai is. She said, sounds like a 6-year-old with a mental problem.
How do you perceive the difference between Thailand and Vietnam so far in your, because you've been in Asia for a long time here and there, so you have a pretty good perspective.
In one way, Thailand is easier to travel with, also with the communication, even with the problems that a lot of Thais don't speak fluent or don't speak English at all. I feel like I'm moving easier along, which may have to do with that I know the country. I've been there many times. I stayed, at one time I stayed a whole year. I did learn a couple of words. You know, I can tell them, hey, don't talk so fast. I only speak a little. Here, it's half and half. The Vietnamese don't have the same character. I'm generalizing, right? They are not, I wouldn't, my girl says friendly and unfriendly. I wouldn't use that terms. It's not that the Vietnamese unfriendly, but they're more rough. They're not as soft as the Thais. Thais are always somehow accommodating, somehow nice. Even if you do a blunder, they treat you nicely and softly, my experience. While the Vietnamese, if something goes wrong, I experience that he pushes you aside, or he just turns around and don't want to have anything to do with you. But it's half and half. You have those that speak some English, and I get along with them just fine. They're very friendly. And then I have those where I have the impression that he just doesn't like foreigners, which in Thailand you find as well. You find people who just don't want to deal with you. But it seems to be a higher percentage of Vietnamese that are uncomfortable or flat out don't like foreigners.
Well, in a sense, because most of my experience is in this neighborhood, I'm perfectly aware that I'm living in a bubble. This is one of the most non-Vietnamese areas in the country.
Right.
Just like Pattaya, Thailand is one of the least Thai places in Thailand.
This here is not Pattaya, and Pattaya is not An Thuong, but I get what you're saying. It's a bubble.
A real traveler, a backpacker, you know, somebody that claims the title of traveler, they don't like places like this. But I have no such ambition. I feel comfortable here. It meets my needs. So I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm just trying to enjoy each day, add some value to the world around me. This is as good a place as any.
Right? Did you travel when you were in your 20s, 30s, 40s?
No. Well, when you live in the United States, you kind of think of Canada and Mexico as sort of U.S. annexes, you know, with our arrogant, we're number one worldview. I feel less that way now. But until 3 years ago, well, no, 5 years ago, I went to Europe to get some medical work on my spine. That was an eye-opener. But I'm nowhere near as well-traveled as you. I love your stories of all the places you've been and spending years in the Philippines. I'm getting too late of a start to be that adventurous. But yeah, people in the States that don't know me that well, they have this view that I'm some kind of exotic world traveler, and I'm really not. I live far, far away from my home country, and yet I'm a creature of my neighborhood. I'm a homebody, which I think sounds strange, But I'm not the only one. I know people that have been here for years and that just mostly circulate around this place, because why would you leave?
Because it's convenient.
It's safe. This building where you're filming, it's phenomenal. The prices are very attractive for what you're getting. The food is phenomenal. I'm a good cook. Do I cook in Vietnam? I can't. It would cost me a fortune for me to replicate a $3 bowl of noodles that's Michelin star quality. It would cost me $20 and all day long to cook it.
Right.
So I just don't. I let the Vietnamese cook my noodles, and it's brilliant. Same thing for pizza, tacos, spaghetti.
Yesterday, you gave me the address of a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
And within minutes, I mean really minutes, I had an apartment. $200 a month.
To be fair, this is a bit of a cheat code in video game terms. That agent is very well regarded, and I was referred to her by somebody else, and I just passed the magic on to you. But yes, she's very efficient.
Why I mentioned it? Well, it's worth mentioning that you can get a really nice apartment for $200 a month, plus electricity. Will cost me probably another $40, because hot season is coming after the rainy season now, and I will run the aircon day and night.
I think you got 3 months after New Year's that are going to be nice. After that, it'll get hot.
But the point I'm mentioning it is people ask me if I want cutleries and pots. And I say, yeah, if you have some, put them in, but I'm not going to use much of it.
It's kind of sad because I'm a good cook. I enjoy cooking. But there's just not much
It's not worth it.
incentive to do it here.
Yeah, it's absolutely not worth it.
There's, within 2 blocks of this building, there's a dozen French bakeries where you can have a coffee and a pastry, and it's $3, $4.
That's an advantage over Thailand, the bread.
This doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is to me. When you see a baguette, and you think of what a baguette is like in the US, Germany, it's like, it's nice. The baguette's nice. The baguettes in this place, it's like if you died and went to heaven and they serve baguettes there. They're so light. They're so crispy on the outside and just impossibly light on the inside. I don't know how they do it. It's the French Indochina
Right.
influence, which is something. I'm sure that there's political ways to look at this that are very mixed, and I'm not discounting that. From a culinary point of view and architecture, there's a certain historical charm to this place. You can feel the French Indochina influence that seeps through everything.
We both don't know the countryside. I would like to see that. You know, how people up in the mountains in the village have never had any contact with foreigners. What kind of culture? Do they drink coffee? Do they have bread?
I have no idea.
Well, I'm here for a couple of months. Maybe I find out. But I will definitely go with some locals.
I tell you what, you rent a motorbike, go into the provinces, make some YouTubes, and then I'll watch your YouTubes, and then I'll
Okay.
know.
Would be I don't venture alone. I don't think so. You know, out there, maybe the internet coverage ceases, and you don't have any translation. You don't understand the word. They don't understand you. That'll be hard,
But there's only one way to find out.
right? Don't know yet.
Well, you're more adventurous than I, so I will live vicariously through your exploration in the coming months.
Which is another thing. In Thailand, I never had that shyness. I rented a motorbike and I drove all over.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I bought a motorbike and I've driven it along the Thai-Lao border, which at that time was military sensitive area. A foreigner could never cross. Drove up to the Golden Triangle and then Chiang Rai, Chiang Mai, down and drove it through Bangkok and all the way south to Surat Thani and further on into Malaysia. Never had any issue. Well, the other thing is I was not yet 30. All right.
That's different.
So we old geezers, 60 plus, you have to take care of yourself a bit more. Riding a motorcycle is the first thing. Do you really want to do it?
For me personally, no, but I know plenty of guys older than me that drive them every day, no problems at all. And hey, they're welcome to
Or at least
do whatever makes sense to them, right?
I'm sitting on the back of these bikes. You taken a car, you're taking it really safe.
And it terrifies me just riding in the back of the taxi and watching, the taxi miss the motorbikes by that far.
Yeah.
Wolfgang, do you think that she's working on our coffee?
I was
Seems like it's
thinking-
been a while.
She said it'll take a while.
Okay.
I haven't yet adjusted my clock. A Vietnamese 10 minutes might be 20 minutes. Are we waiting 20 minutes for our coffee?
Hey, it's not a problem. It's a good place to wait.
What else we have to do, right?
Well, and the baristas here are also hotel reception, management, engineer.
Technician.
So, sometimes the coffees are, they're worth it once they get there. And sometimes you get it right then.
I told you that I needed my balcony door fixed.
Yes.
And I didn't think that they can do it. They sent the chambermaid with a screwdriver. And I said, okay, these two sliding doors are about an inch shorter than the opening of the apartment. There is not much you can do with a screwdriver, especially when the hinges are all broken off.
And how did that go?
A day later, 2 technicians came, really, with a blue overall, and they fixed it. I don't know how they did it, but now my door is closed.
Well, I can tell you how they did it. They're trained professionals. When I was a young engineer, I was lucky enough to have mentors where I had this attitude that I had a STEM degree, and these hard hat guys, well, I had it completely backwards, of course. The trades are absolutely geniuses at every physical object that exists. The engineers, we're good at math, but we don't know squat about how stuff is actually constructed properly, so that the rain stays out there and we stay in here. So I was very lucky that I had someone turn on the lights for me. The trades know what they're doing. Just trust them, listen to them. You can learn a lot. So your door engineers, that's why they're trained professionals.
Still don't know how they did
It's
it,
their
but
job.
door is closed.
And do you need to know?
No.
Like we talked about yesterday, how the sausages are made are none of your concern. At least that's the approach I take.
Just enjoy it, yeah?
Yeah.
But I think it's a good idea that I can close the door with the storm coming in, if the storm
That does
comes.
seem like it might be nice.
I lived through some hurricanes in Florida, and it was a good idea my windows didn't rattle.
Yeah, Florida got hit twice in the last month. Big ones.
Yeah. I WhatsApp with the son of a friend of mine who lives over. My friend lives in Fort Lauderdale. His son lives in St. Petersburg, and they got hit pretty hard. They live, I don't know if they call it also intracoastal on the other side.
Which now?
Intracoastal.